Hello, welcome back. We have a new bonus episode here for the Gay Racing Podcast. And as you can see, it's IndyCar time, and we're gay, so
It's
I had to bring
IndyCar
out
season.
the gay IndyCar hat. And just like Zach did with the NASCAR drivers, I'm going to rank the IndyCar drivers based on if they're going to win a lot or if they're just not going to win at all. And Zach's going to be my mouse here,
I
I'm going to
feel
tell him where to
like
put
I
things.
feel like the woman that like does what's that show? The Price is Right, where like
Yeah.
she like shows the things. I'm gonna be moving the drivers into the tiers because it's on my
Or
computer.
it's like Deal or No Deal, where I'm picking the driver
Yeah,
and you're opening the
that's
case.
yes, exactly. And Alex knows. I feel like Alex knows more about IndyCar than I am. I mean, he does beat me in fantasy very harshly.
Oh,
So he's the perfect person. He's the perfect resource, and I'm very excited to see what Alex has to say about some of these drivers,
yes.
especially after silly season. So yeah, what's the tea, Alex?
All right. Well, the T is that a lot has changed with IndyCar, but some things are still the same. So we're just gonna go in alphabetical order here. And we're gonna start with Marcus Armstrong, who is full-time this year.
The number
And
11.
for for me, I think he's gonna show a lot of improvement this year, but we're gonna throw him right in that unlikely to win category because I just don't think he has enough experience yet in these cars to pull off a win. It that could be like a wild card win. That's why he's not in won't win. I don't
Yeah.
see it.
Like he'll be in a
And
decent position to maybe get a win like from fuel mileage, but
yeah, I will say if he wins, it'll be later in the season when he's going first he has nearly a full second season under his belt, and then he's going to all these tracks for the second time as well. And it's gonna be his first time on the ovals as well, and he ain't gonna win on one of those unless it's like a crazy fuel strategy race.
cool.
And next up, I'm so excited for this season for him is Tom Blomqvist, IMSA champion, Rolex 24 champion. He is full-time IndyCar now. We saw him in a couple of starts last year. I'm gonna put him in unlikely to win as well.
What? What? Okay.
Because again, same thing as Marcus Armstrong. I think the problem with Tom Blomqvist potentially winning this year is his team, Meyer Shank Racing.
Mm.
I
No.
don't think they got that dog in them, Zach. They don't got the dogs right
Bro,
now.
step off my
They
goat.
all the dogs were released when Elio won the Indy 500 a few years ago
Yeah.
over at Meyer Shank Racing. So I think Tom's going to show crazy improvement throughout the season, just like Armstrong will, but I don't think he gets a win in his first full campaign in IndyCar.
Yeah.
Next one. This was announced officially today as we record this. Colin Braun, not full time, but doing a handful of races, including this weekend in St. Pete, which is going to be on NBC Sports. Big NBC. Y'all got to watch it. It's before the NASCAR race, and you can watch it. They don't interfere. But Colin Braun, I don't think he's going to win, so won't win category for
Yeah, I
him.
figured. I should already just put him
And
there.
but like that's kind of to be expected, right? But it's gonna be a lot of fun. He's very good in sports cars. He also ran in the NASCAR Truck Series back in the day, so a lot of you NASCAR guys that watch us might know that name.
Yeah.
But he won't get a win. But I am excited to see how he does.
I'm just excited to see his
This,
name on the ticker.
yeah, it's gonna be cool. This next one here, Augustine Canapino, and I don't know if this is gonna be a controversial take here, but I'm gonna put him in maybe wins.
What? Why? Him over
Yeah,
Blomquist? Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
He showed a lot of promise last year. Okay. I think he's going to be going back to these tracks for a second time. He is really going to start excelling. And because he was running top 10, low top 10 very, very often. And he came from a series in Argentina that is not similar to IndyCar at all. And he picked it up really, really fast, I feel. And sure, I think most of the time he's going to be like putting top 15s. I don't think he's going to compete for wins regularly. That's more of the column above him, but maybe wins. I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's a definite, but it's definitely a maybe, you know?
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Ed Carpenter. I'm sorry, Zach. You like Ed Carpenter. He's going right into won't win.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
when was the last time he did
J-
win?
I don't know. I think the last time he was on a podium was Gateway in either
Oh, it was when
19
Sato
or
won.
18.
19. It was when Sato won. I
Yeah.
remember that finish. That was a good finish. But
And ever
like
since
you don't
then,
that because
he's
he
just
does
not a
show up to like
factor.
Iowa and Gateway, and he's just like
Bad.
complete trash. Like it's
Yeah.
so
It's
I
not
can't
good.
even defend him here. Darn.
Like you call Joseph Newgarden washed.
Well,
I, I'm just saying. And you know who's not washed? Is our next guy, Scott Dixon, the GOAT.
not washed yet.
He's going right up. He's going up to right up to the top category. Wins a lot.
Really? Oh, you don't think he will decline at all a little bit? Might wow.
I
Well, he did end
I
the
don't think
season with
so.
like 3 wins, right? Like three
Yep.
wins in the last 4 races or something.
If he didn't have the conclusion to last year that he did end up having, I think he'd be in few wins. But Scott Dixon is still the same Scott Dixon. I don't see that changing, Zach. He's Scott Dixon. Until that man retires, he is still a threat for a championship. He's still a threat to win.
Yeah.
Like we have seen him time and time again come back from the craziest circumstances and still win a championship. Like, I mean, he was mathematically still up against Pillow till the as far as he could take it. So
With what the season Pillow was having, that's very impressive.
yeah. So Scott Dixon, I think until that man retires, he's probably in that wins a lot category.
Well, okay. This next guy is
Yeah.
interesting because it's like the first one on this list that
Yeah.
raced last year, but now they're with a different team. Marcus
hmm
Ericsson. So I'm curious to see what
Marcus
you have to say about
Ericsson.
him.
So Marcus Ericsson has a couple things here. One, he's going to Andretti, which Andretti is very hit or miss, and all the Andretti drivers I have very interesting opinions on, I think, for this tier list. And Marcus is also leaving Ganassi. So the question is he actually going to be as competitive as he was there, right? And I really don't know, but the way I've seen Marcus Ericsson compete in the IndyCar series since he came over, especially the last 3 years, I think he's going to get at least 2 wins. I'm going to say few wins for
Wow.
Marcus.
I'd say that's the upper end of my expectations for him. That's why I was
Yeah,
bouncing him between these two because I'm like, I mean, he's downgrading in my opinion, if you ask me, unless
I
Andretti
agree.
hits on something this year. But
But that's another thing with Andretti, and we'll get to Kirkwood and Herta in a bit. This is the strongest all put together team that Andretti has had since in the last decade, I would say, because they've had Herta for a while. Herta has his issues, but we'll talk about that later. Kirkwood, I think, is going up. We'll talk about him later. And Ericsson has just kind of been a super, super consistent. He has been Mr. Consistency in the IndyCar series, and always like top five, top 10 every single week, and maybe sneaking into a win. I mean, they called him the sneaky Swede for a reason, right? So I think he's going to be what Andretti needs. And Andretti's also getting rid of the 29 car. Some more
more
resources are going to be
focus.
put toward 3 cars. Yeah. So I feel pretty good about Marcus Ericsson. I would put him like if I don't think we're going to organize him in order specifically. He'd be like at the bottom of few wins or at the top of
Right.
maybe wins.
Okay. Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Santino Ferrucci is an interesting one because we race at the Indianapolis 500. If Santino was not doing the Indy 500, he would go right into won't win,
Really?
right?
I guess. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right. Like if this
I
was
mean,
like my NASCAR list, I put him in the wild card category, which was
right.
what this unlikely to win thing. So
Mhm.
is that where you put him?
So I'm actually kind of torn. I think he's going to go in unlikely to win.
Because he's
However,
really good at Indy. Like
he
he could
almost,
maybe win Indy. Like
yeah, that's my thing. If that's how we're doing the tier list, I think he would go in maybe. But if you're doing throughout the full season,
yeah,
which I think is what I'm more leaning toward,
yeah. You should
I
probably
want to
just keep him
do
here.
unlikely to win, right? But listen, if Santino wins the Indy 500, I would not be surprised because he damn near won it last year. He was in contention right up to the
That'd
end.
be
Things
cool.
go
Paul
slightly
Tracy's gonna
differently.
like
He'd
have
be
a heart
there.
attack.
But also AJ Foyt Racing, that'd be so cool for them to win the Indy 500.
It would.
But
That would be a cool story.
if we were doing the Indy 500 as a tier list here, he'd be way up toward the top. And if we're doing just a single race, it'd be a maybe wins. But for the season as a whole, unlikely to win for Santino
Fair
Ferrucci.
enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Next up is Pietro Fittipaldi, and this is the third Rahal Letterman Lanigan entry. And for me, I don't know why RLL is adding a third full-time car because they started to get momentum going in the later half of the season after an abysmal first half of the season last year. Uh, and they're bringing in a third full-time car. They ran three at the 500, but
Wait, they
did
weren't.
they run four?
No, they
I
were.
don't know.
Hasn't the 45 been full time?
Yeah, the 45 is Lungard, and the 15 is Ray Hall. I don't think they had a
The
third
30.
other driver.
I thought Lungard was in the 30.
Was Jack Harvey in the 30?
No, Jack Harvey was in the 45. I have an Iowa diecast.
No,
Or was that the
Lungard's
year
been in the
before?
45.
Really?
Lungard's been in the 45 the last 2 years. You know what it was? Okay.
I'm so
Jack
confused.
Harvey drove the 30. That's right. So Ray Hall did have three cars. My mistake.
Okay.
Ray Hall had three cars, but they took out Harvey with like three races to go last year.
Oh,
And
who
they
did they
put like
put in?
Connor Daly in.
Oh, right. Okay.
And they
Yep, that's what happened.
and
Okay.
they had Jury Vips in the car at a point. Okay. It's all coming back to me. IndyCar's it's coming back. It's been like 6 months since the season ended. But anyway, still, I feel like they might have been better if they downsized their two cars, but
Mm-hmm.
what do I know? Uh Pietro Fittipaldi, I don't think he's gonna win. I don't think anyone would argue against that. But it's like we'll get to the other Rahal cars in a bit. Is this going to be helpful to their, season after a rough start and then they're coming back this year? I don't know. Next up is Roman Grosjean, who
Mm.
I did not think was going to be on the grid at all for a while in the off season. But he's here. He's replacing Callum Ilott in the 77 at Juncos. And I don't know how people feel about this because I said over and over on the podcast, Zach, that Grosjean performs better when he's with a smaller team. 'Cause we saw that when he was in the
Yep.
51
Mm-hmm.
and he nearly won a couple times. And then he went to Andretti. The pressure was a lot higher and you were expected to win there, right? So I think he just got so tensed up. But now he's going to go to a more relaxed environment, I think. So I'm going to put Roman Grosjean in maybe wins.
I agree with that. With his teammate,
Yeah.
his new teammate.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cute.
Both Yuko's cars right there, maybe
All
wins.
right. All right. What a year
But
for Junkos, possibly.
yeah, possibly. But Grosjean nearly won a couple of races with Andretti as well, and it just didn't work out. And then once he lost a couple of those races, he would wreck out or he'd overdrive and ruin his race. So I feel pretty good about him going to Juncos. I think that's a good move for him. And I
Yeah.
hope he doesn't go back. If things do work out, I hope he doesn't go back to a big team. It just does not work out, I don't think. Jack Harvey will not win.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I say that because I literally forgot he was full time last year. So,
He
and he
used to
got
be
pulled out of
like
the ride.
a few years ago when he was in the 60, I feel like he was like in the maybe win category, you know?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
happened? Like he's just
I
fallen
don't
off
know.
so hard.
And he was always really good. I believe I picked him for fantasy one time at the Indianapolis Road Course
Yeah.
because he was always really, really good there specifically. But
How the
it just
mighty have
kind of
fallen.
never happened again. I like Jack Harvey. I'm glad he's on the grid, at least for the road and street courses this year. But I'd be shocked if he won. And the highlight of his career is honestly bumping Graham Rahal out of the 500 last year,
T.
and that was really cool. But I find it hard to argue against, So I don't think Jack Harvey will win.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this next one is Colton Herta, and Zach, you and I have been very critical of Colton Herta, mostly because of the F1 chatter around
Yeah,
him.
because we're like, this is not the guy that should be going to F1.
Yeah, we like he should not go to F1. He is not consistent enough,
Did he win last
and
year?
he did not win last
Yeah,
year.
he didn't win last year.
He's very inconsistent, and if he does win, he'll probably dominate the race. But I'm gonna put Colton in maybe wins
Yeah, that's fair
because
because we've seen from him lately, there's no evidence that he can go out and win. I'm just
no,
saying,
like I think there is evidence that he can win, but like
but
he hasn't really shown the results that he,
yeah, it's not
you
something
know,
I would bet on. That's why he's in maybe.
no,
Because like to
no.
be in
Like I,
this few wins tier, you gotta convince us that you're gonna win, which
mhm,
is kind of surprising that his teammate Marcus Ericsson's in here. Because Marcus last
yeah.
year he was falling off. Of course, it was the Ganassi silly season stuff too, but
And I think that's more of what it was. And
yeah,
Marcus is now at a team that wants him. They actively pursued him. There was a lot of public chatter going on about Erickson and like, hey, we want him here at Andretti. And Ganassi was just kind of pushing him out. At the time, the reigning Indy 500 winner was Erickson. And he finished second, and they still did not, at the 500, and they still did not make a deal with him, and they totally could have. Because they even added another car at Ganassi. So they 100% could have kept Marcus Erickson, but they didn't do it. So Marcus kind of went somewhere that actually wanted him.
yeah.
So I think that he's going to do really good this year. But back to Colton Herta, I wouldn't surprise me if he got no wins again this year, and it also wouldn't surprise me if he got five, right?
Well,
But
that would surprise me. Not gonna lie, that would surprise me.
I would lean
I'm a
toward
hater. I'm a hater.
getting no wins, you know,
I'm just a
because
hater.
Colton can win races. We've seen that, but what has he shown me lately? Nothing. Like you would forget he's even in the races until he crashes.
Nope.
So yeah. So
Yikes.
this one's interesting. Callum Ilott is not full time. I don't think he's necessarily even part time, but he will be replacing David Malukas this weekend. And Callum Ilott, I believe, deserves a spot in the IndyCar grid, and I'm bummed that he's not there full time. I don't like the way that Juncos took him out of his ride because Callum was under the impression that he was staying there. It's kind of an ugly
Yeah.
situation. But Callum, I'm going to put in unlikely to win
Unlikely.
because I don't think the chance is 0% that he won't go out there and win
Yeah.
this weekend in St. Pete,
Okay. I
right?
mean, you're right. He's in a McLaren. Fair enough.
Yeah. And if he gets more opportunities, I could potentially, like, if someone gets injured or like, say, they release a driver early, like what happened with Harvey last year, Ilott might be the guy they call. I wouldn't rule it out. I think Callum Ilott has a ton of talent. My bold prediction last year was that Ilott would win a race. That obviously did not happen, but I really, really am very enthusiastic about Callum Ilott. And I'm excited to see how he does in like McLaren equipment this weekend. I think it's a huge opportunity for him.
I'll tell you what, this tier list is looking very bottom loaded. Are you just a hater, Alex? You got all these guys at the bottom? Wow, you must just be a hater.
I'm a hater, I guess,
Well,
or I'm a
listen,
realist.
being for real though, there's a lot of good guys coming up, and I'm very, very excited to see where
Yeah,
exactly you're gonna put them. But next is Kyle Kirkwood.
yeah, and Kyle
Dude,
Kirkwood, I
did he
think
win twice last year, or just once? He won Long
either one
Beach.
won once or twice, but
Didn't he win Nashville as well? He won Long Beach and Nashville, I believe.
did he win
I
Nashville?
think
It's
he
been
did
so
win
long.
Nashville.
But if he didn't, y'all can correct us. But
I'll check. I'll double check.
yeah, Kyle Kirkwood. I am so high on Kyle Kirkwood. I think he is going to be the one that deserves more of the F1 hype. I know Andretti's F1 bid kind of got rejected and everything, but Kyle Kirkwood, I think he's the real deal. People have compared him to Joseph Newgarden when Joseph was Kirkwood's age. So, man, I might move him,
He
Zach. This might be the
did
first
win
one I
Nashville.
change.
He won
He
Long
did
Beach
win
and
Nashville.
Nashville last year.
Okay. So my instinct is to put Kyle Kirkwood in wins a lot, if you can believe it,
Really?
because
Like
it's going to be
championship
his third.
contender.
Yes.
Really?
This is
Whoa.
his third year,
That's crazy.
full time, second with Andretti. The smaller team at Andretti, I think that's going to help him a lot. I really think Kyle Kirkwood is the real deal, and if Andretti can keep their crap together, like not mess each other up, 'cause, they're not gonna like there's not gonna be infighting anymore because all the drama's out. So I really think Kyle Kirkwood can pull it off. I think he can get at least 3 wins. I mean, he got
Because
two last year, right?
I was having
So,
trouble making. I was having trouble bumping up guys from what I've seen from them. And
mhm,
from what I'm kind of getting, you're kind of bumping Kirkwood up because you're anticipating Andretti to be really fast, which I think that's fair,
yeah,
to be honest. And going back to Colton Herta, man, look at his teammates.
yeah. I
Yikes.
think Colton Herta's the weak link at Andretti.
The
Like, I don't
script has
think there's
flipped.
much of a debate about that.
Wow. That's
And
crazy.
I'm sure a lot of people would not agree with me on that, but I don't see it. He's not giving anything. While Kirkwood and Ericsson are. They're performing. And Ericsson, you can put an asterisk by him because this is a new team. But yeah, Andretti Autosport, like I said earlier, they are my most spread out team here on the board. I I'm so curious. They're my team to really watch this year because that could really go any way, and I could see it flipping entirely where I have them. So
Yeah. I think
yeah,
another interesting team to watch is the number 8 of Linus Lundqvist, who replaced Marcus
yeah,
Ericsson.
that's right. Linus Lundqvist was very impressive in the couple of races he had last year when he filled in for Simon Pagenaud, and man, I I want to put him in unlikely to win, right? But he might be
He's in
really,
a
really
Ganassi
good.
car. He's in a Ganassi car.
Yeah.
Like,
And we saw how good Alex Palou was as soon as he got into a Ganassi car. I'm not saying he's gonna be Alex Palou good. I'm gonna put him in maybe wins
that's fair. I like that.
because he might pull off a random win at, let's say, Toronto or St. Pete this weekend. I don't know about that. Or Barber. Some, just like a mid-season kind of race. I could totally see Linus Lundqvist getting a win like that. And how will he do replacing Ericsson? He also has Pelo's former sponsor with American Legion. Like a lot of pressure, I would say, for a rookie. He's going to have a sponsor that expects wins or used to winning, and he's going to be with a team that's used to winning. And how will he react to that? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Next up here is Christian Lundgaard, and I touched on this with Ray Hall Leonard and Lanigan. He could go any direction, man. He could totally flop, or he could continue on his strong performance that we saw at the latter half of the season. So I think talent-wise, Lundgaard could go in few wins, talent-wise. But I don't know if he's actually going to do that because the team scares me. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Lundgaard in maybe wins. I think he has the talent though to get several. I don't think he's ready yet to be a championship contender, but he's definitely getting better. And quite frankly, if I'm Penske, Ganassi, McLaren, he's a guy I'm eyeing because if I remember right, his contract with Rahal expires after this upcoming season. So he's going to be like a number one free agent unless Rahal retains him. So that's going to be something to watch as well. But he's very good. I'm going to say maybe wins for now. And oh, this next one's fun. David Malukas, who is not racing this weekend at St. Pete,
Well, he
replaced by
won't
Cal
win.
Milot. Not this
So,
weekend. He ain't
he
winning.
won't
He
win
ain't
this
winning.
weekend.
Oh, so throughout the whole season, I mean, he can win the championship either. So I don't think he can go in the top category
Yeah.
either. David Malukas, I think this is his best shot to finally get that win at Gateway, and that's it. I don't think he's gonna have a shot really anywhere else. I think he's gonna be competitive. So I think similar to Santino Ferrucci, except the Indy 500 with Santino's case, I think Malukas very well could win Gateway,
Okay.
but that's it. So I'm going to put him in unlikely to win, but he very well could win Gateway.
Okay.
So he's going to go right next to Santino. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
And-
I get that.
yeah, and I would say David, if you wanted to put him in order, would be like at the very top of unlikely to win.
Okay, that's
Because
what
he
I
could
thought.
totally come in and really contend. Maybe he's a lot better than we thought, and Coin was really holding him back, but we won't know for at least a month. So we because of his injury. But he'll be fun to watch. I really like David. I love him at McLaren. I think that fits his personality really well. But yeah,
Look
I don't
look at
don't
these
see it.
next four guys that you have to
Oh
rank. Next five
boy.
actually. Like, ooh.
This next five, this is like the big five. These guys were all probably were these guys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in points?
Scott Dixon was up in there, but
Dixon, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They, I think these guys were all top 6 in points,
Yeah.
unless
I think
Power
so.
was lower. But this is gonna be a lot of heavy hitters right here. 2 Penske's, a McLaren, or all 3 Penske's, a McLaren, and a Ganassi right here. So let's start with Scott McLaughlin. I think you put him right to the top. He's gonna win
Really?
a lot. Yeah,
Because last year he didn't win a lot. He only won like what, one race? Right? He
I
won
believe
Barber.
so.
He won Barber. So you're thinking he's a championship contender.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, I'm wearing Scott McLaughlin's shirt.
I should have known.
I I really think Scott McLaughlin is going to be very impressive this year because once again, I said this a lot last year. I think he's just going to continue to improve and improve and improve every single year. And last year really felt like Penske put most of their effort into the Indy 500 in their oval program. So I kind of expect them to kind of get back on their game on the road and street courses. It's just like, will we see that for the full team? And we'll get to that. So yeah, I think Scott McLaughlin, I think he's gonna win a lot. I think he's gonna be a championship contender. And if he can keep up, if he can get the consistency down, he's gonna be right there with Palou and Dixon. I really have so much faith in Scott McLaughlin. I mean, he won those championships in Australia for a reason, and it's because he's a really, really good race car driver, and he's learned really fast in IndyCar. All right.
I made sure I washed my glasses before this next one.
Oh God. So you all know my username is at Newgaden. That is obviously a play on Newgarden.
Wait,
It's replaced the
what?
R with the Y. Yeah,
What?
crazy.
That's
Mind blown.
crazy.
So Joseph Newgarden is my favorite driver in IndyCar for the past decade. Crazy, it's been a decade. But he won the Indy 500 last year. I was there. I was wearing this hat at the Indy 500. Great day,
I
as you
drew
can
him.
see.
I drew him before. Where is he?
You did draw
You
him.
can't really see it from here, but
It's a great
anyways.
drawing.
Yeah.
Zack's an amazing artist. But Joseph Newgarden, man, I am in a predicament with this one
Really?
because
You had
I
no
want to
problem
say
putting Kyle Kirkwood up in wins a lot.
I did not. Joseph Newgarden very well could
Almost
win
swept
all
the
7
ovals.
oval races.
Yeah.
Joseph could win 7 oval races, which would put him right to the
So
top, right?
right.
So ultimately, yeah, he's going to end up in wins a lot. Spoiler alert.
Okay.
But
But he's a bottom.
what?
He's a bottom.
He ain't.
He's in the bottom.
He ain't going.
He's in the bottom of
He
the
ain't-
tier.
He ain't going to the bottom of the list. I can tell you that.
He's not a bottom.
But he's at the bottom of wins a lot. Yeah. You're crazy. So Joseph Newgarden, if you exclude the ovals, which I know that's not how it works, will he actually win a road and street course this year?
Well,
I don't know.
history shows he can.
He should.
He should.
Yeah.
I mean, people have all fear. I feel like I'm like a Joseph Newgarden defender right now. We just flipped roles because it's like he just won Long Beach 2 years ago. It's not like he's completely like washed at this. I don't know.
Oh.
You can
Look
almost
at you saying he's not watched.
you can almost put last year as an off year, but again, this is your opinion. I'm just here to be Mike Davis.
But thank you, Mike. So Joseph, he's gonna win a lot. He's gonna win several ovals. He's probably gonna sweep Iowa. He's probably gonna sweep Milwaukee. He's probably gonna win
And that
Gateway.
could win him a championship.
You know,
That will put him in the
yeah.
contention for a
And
championship, all these ovals.
and you know what? The finale is at Nashville Super Speedway, the oval. He could win that too, and he could go back to back in Indy 500 wins. So yeah, he's gonna win a lot. Don't get me wrong. He's way up there, top of the chart here.
We
But my
expect better,
concern
though.
with him
He needs to be
is,
more rounded.
can he? Yeah, exactly. Can he win on the road and street circuits? Can he actually contend for his championship? He finished fifth, I believe, in the championship last year because he was just awful on the road and street courses, quite
Oh,
frankly.
yeah.
In qualifying, he's got to figure out qualifying.
Oh, yeah.
He can, this weekend, he cannot go out there and qualify 15th. He did that so many times last year. He can't do
It's
it.
unacceptable.
And
You're in a Penske car, dude. You're a 2-time
yeah,
champion.
and like I think this is my passion coming out as a fans. I want him to win a third championship. It's like, come on, Joseph, we cannot mess up qualifying. We got to figure out how to turn left and right. We got to know how to do both. But I believe in the man. I think he can do it. But for the terms of this tier list, he's definitely going to win a lot. It's like, can he actually be a championship contender? We'll see. Next up is Pato Award, and Pato's interesting because he went winless last year.
Mm-hmm.
But he started the year with like how many second place finishes? He had so many podiums last year. He was nearly lapped the whole field at Texas. And then that caution came out and it brought everyone back in. So I think Pato's going to have a rebound year. Even though last year was pretty good, didn't get a win though. I'm going to put him alongside Marcus Ericsson. So Ericsson's not going to be as alone in few wins. And I feel like this is kind of self-explanatory because Pato
That's what
is
he's
very
done every
capable
single
of
year,
getting
anyways.
wins.
Like, I
Yeah,
think there was one year where he was technically in the championship talk, but he was like barely in it. Like, he's never
yeah. Like mathematically, he was in.
he hasn't really been a true championship contender yet, but he will go out and win a race or two, which I expect
Yeah,
more of him. Everyone does, but that's kind of
same.
where he's at.
Like I think Pato Award can be a championship contender and he can win championships. It's just, can he put a full season together?
Yeah.
You know, like it's kind of like Scott McLaughlin in a way, where it's like they need to figure out the consistency bit. But I feel like for Pato, it's more of a team thing that McLaren doesn't really have it across the board yet. While Scott McLaughlin is more of a driver thing. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Scott is super, super close to getting that. And I don't know if McLaren is there yet. Someone who is there, though, and almost went to McLaren is Alex Palou. And everyone knows where he's going. He's going right to wins a lot category. He's going to win a lot of
He's
races
at the
again.
tippy top.
He is.
Finished every single
And
race last year in the top 10.
and he clinched the championship before the finale. He's gonna be tough to beat. He has DHL now, which is pretty cool. Eh, I, I want to say that the field will have a better shot at him this year in winning the championship. But man, it's hard to bet against him. But he is going into the year after a championship, and the last time he won a championship. Then next year he didn't do as good, so I'm hesitant. But it's kind of like how Joseph, after he wins a championship, the next year he didn't follow it up, basically. But Palou's gonna win at least 3 races this year, if not more. I think that's pretty safe to say.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's disputing that. I'm gonna plug in my laptop. Is it
That's fine.
dying? Okay. Next up here is Will Power. Will Power won the championship in what,
2022.
2022?
I forget that. That's so what a forgettable
Yeah,
championship for some reason. I don't.
yeah. It's a very quiet championship because he was just super, super consistent, right? And last year, if you remember, he lost his win streak of winning a race every season.
Yeah.
Scott Dixon was also in that category, but Scott Dixon ended the year with several wins. But Will Power is not going to continue that streak. He now has the all-time record for most poles in IndyCar. Can he get back to winning races.
Is he washed?
I think he I don't think he's washed, but I think he's past his prime. But and the reason he won the championship at 22 was that he said it himself. He really got his emotions in check and to not overreact when things aren't going his way and to understand that he isn't going to win every single weekend. I think that's something Colton Herta could really figure out, by the way. So I think Will Power's going to I'm going to put him in the few wins category. And that is just because he's such an experienced veteran. He can win any weekend, I believe. But will he actually contend for the championship? I don't know, but he did just win it 2 years ago. So it's like I want to say, well, yeah, obviously, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Very hard to say for willpower. And next up here is Graham Rahal, who started the year was horrendous. Got bumped out of the Indy 500 by his teammate, Jack Harvey at the time. And then later in the year, nearly won the Indianapolis Road Course, the second race.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Nearly won that. But he's like, with Rahal, it's just like, I don't know what to believe with that team because they were horrible last year. And then a switch flipped. It's like getting bumped out of the Indy 500 kind of lit a fire under their ass or something. And it was just like, we gotta be better than this. We cannot be this like a bottom tier team because all four of their cars at Indy were at risk of going home.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, okay, we cannot be like that. We gotta be better. But like Lundgaard, I want to say with Lundgaard, I wanted to put him in few wins, but I have him maybe. With Rahal, I want to put him in maybe wins because I've always saw him at Indianapolis, the road course, but I don't think he's likely to win. So I'm going to put him in unlikely to win.
Okay. That's kind of where I was
And
thinking you would put him.
yeah, if you tell me in September, hey, Graham Rahal did not win a race this year, would I be shocked? No.
That's what I expect.
But if you tell me he did win a race, I'd be like, oh, they must have really continued their momentum they had at the end of the season. But then my next thought would be, oh, Christian Lundgaard might actually have won a couple races. You know, so I would definitely rank Lundgaard higher than him. But yeah. Next up here, we're kind of winding down. We have Christian Rasmussen, the Indy Next champion. He is going to be part-time. He's sharing the car with Ed Carpenter. And I put Ed Carpenter in won't win. And Christian Rasmussen, he and Oliver Askew both tested this car to potentially get this ride. They gave it to Rasmussen. I kind of wish it was a full-time thing so he could get experience on the ovals in these cars. I don't know if they're going to run him in an extra car at the 500. But I'm going to put him in unlikely to win as well. That's going to be our most
Really?
populated category, I believe.
Above Ed? I guess so.
He, I don't think it's likely he'll win, but I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, Ed Carpenter Racing, are they fantastic? No, but like they have their moments. So I mean, I wouldn't put it at 0%. Ed is 0% unless like he gets the magic back that he had in the 2000s. And I don't see that happening. And I think the problem with Ed also is that he's like out of the rhythm and there's
Yeah.
not as many ovals as there used to be for him to like stay up on it. So yeah, Rasmussen, I'm excited to see how he does. I'm not expecting too much, you know?
Rasmussen, is he doing just road courses or is he doing a few of the short ovals too?
My understanding is he's doing the road and street courses in the 20 and Ed Carpenter's doing the
Okay.
ovals in the
That
20.
makes sense. Okay.
Yep. Next up is Stingray Robb, and I think he's going to go right into the won't win
Wow.
category.
That 51
I
team's
don't,
fallen off ever since Grosjean
yeah.
moved on from them.
So Stingray Robb is actually replacing Benjamin Peterson at AJ
Oh,
Foyt Racing.
duh. Okay.
Um, and there's some drama about that. Peterson said he was going to be back, but then they announced Stingray Robb was coming in. Peterson said, "Welcome to the team. I'm excited to work with you." And then they never announced a third car for Peterson. So that's interesting. But yeah, I don't see Stingray Rob winning a race. Unlike his teammate Santino Ferrucci, I don't see Rob contending for the Indy 500. But I I do think this will be an interesting season for Stingray Rob though. Like, will he be able to show improvement in year two, also with a new team this time as well? So this one's very interesting to me is Felix Rosenquist, and he's going to Meyershank Racing, replacing Elio Castroneves. Uh, Castroneves still running the Indy 500. That's it. But ooh, Felix Rosenquist leaving McLaren. I want to put him in unlikely to win, but there's something that tells me that he might potentially win because I don't know. I feel like with
He had some
Rosenquist,
pretty
he
good
very well
runs
could,
in McLaren.
yeah, he very well could show up and pull out a win, and he might contend for one up there. So I'm gonna put Felix in maybe wins.
Right, I can see that.
The vibes are there
I mean,
for me to
he has
keep
won an
him in
IndyCar race
maybe.
before. I mean, I'm just saying. I guess that
Yeah,
doesn't really
yeah,
matter in this tier list, but still, like, he's a proven
yeah.
winner.
And I don't know if it's a McLaren thing or a him thing, but he had a lot of really good qualifying runs. He got several poles in the past
Hmm.
couple of years with McLaren. So, I mean, track position could be a big factor. And if the qualifying performance carries over to Meyer Shank, maybe he could sneak a win in. But I don't know. He's going to be very interesting to watch as well. And now, Alexander Rossi. You're probably wondering, Alex,
I had
you're
no
running
idea
out
where
of
you're gonna put
people,
him.
and a few wins categories looking kind of light. But it's also like, is Alexander Rossi actually going to get a few wins? Or is Rossi going to go back to how he was when he first kind of came into the series and was just an instant championship contender? I don't know. I
No one
don't know.
does.
Alexander Rossi is such a wild
Well,
card
listen, I'll tell you what
because,
though. Last few
yeah,
years, he's been a guy that's like in maybe wins. To be honest, he's not
yeah,
that championship contender. He hasn't been since like what 2019. Is he? He's
like
kind of
it's
washed.
been a hot minute.
Like,
Yeah, I thing is with Alexander Rossi, he could totally not get a single win, and that wouldn't surprise me. He could also have a breakthrough season and get like two wins. Like it wouldn't shock me, right? But to be on the safe side, I think we're gonna keep it at three people and few wins, and we're gonna put Rossi in maybe wins
I can see
because
that.
I'm confident enough for Alexander Rossi to say, hey, he's gonna get at least two or more wins, right? But it's a maybe. I don't feel comfortable putting him at, oh yeah, he'll get a win and maybe a few, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. So we're gonna fill up the won't win category real quick. We have Nolan Siegel, who is from the Indy Next series. He'll be doing a couple races,
Yeah. I
I
just
believe, including the Indy 500.
I just found out who
Hmm.
this kid was yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, on the podcast you said, "Now who is this?
Who is
Who?"
this?
Yeah, he won't win, but he's gonna get some valuable seat time for Nolan Siegel. He'll be with Coin, one of the Coin drivers that were announced today. Tiffin Simpson, he's also not gonna win a race. He is gonna be in Ganassi equipment, but I think it is way too soon for him to be moved up
That's gonna
like
be like the
this.
Jimmy Johnson leftovers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, how do they have
I
resources for a fifth Ganassi car? Good lord.
yeah, I he's really young. I believe he's only 19. I think he could handle another year of Indy Next and would actually succeed from that. He's had success over in IMSA. Like he's a really good race car driver, but I don't know if he's ready for the IndyCar series, you know? So it's I mean, he ain't gonna get a win, but I'm just like, I don't know if I like them moving him up to full time, not even just like part-time road course, street course, but like he's full time. And they added a whole new car for him. All the while, like I said earlier, Ganassi could have kept Marcus Ericsson. So I'm just I don't like it. I don't know if I like it. I like Kiffin Simpson. I don't know if I like the idea of him already being in the series already. And now Renus VK, he's not going to go and wins a lot.
Where has he
He's
been?
not going to go in. He's not going to go in few wins because yeah, Zach, where has he been? What has he done for me lately?
Oh my god. Like I miss him. I feel like he hasn't been on the track in years. It feels like it's just he's
Yeah,
there, but is he really?
like the one thing he does a little twirl at the Indy 500 and driver intros, and that's about it. That's the only time I really see him. I like Renus VK, but it's you're not really doing much. So for me, I'm gonna put him in unlikely to win, which that might be lower than you might have thought. You might think he would go in maybe wins, but
That team's
he's
been
just
awfully
not
quiet.
really.
They got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of these teams
So
do.
yeah,
Because there's a clear, I mean, if you just look at this, there's a clear kind of no man's land between, the Penske Ganassi guys, you know,
yep.
Pato
You get one McLaren.
and Kirkwood have like kind of snuck in there, but there's a gap. There's a
Yeah,
legit gap between Penske and Ganassi to the field, and I think that's what the story's going to be this year. Who's going to close that gap,
yep,
if anybody?
yep. And like I said, I really think it's going to be Kyle Kirkwood if anyone can do it right now. I have a
Yeah,
lot of confidence in him, man. I really, really think that he can prove people wrong for one, but also just bring Andretti back to how people know them for being, and that's being competitive and racing for wins and championships. So if I glance over this, I don't think there's anything I want to change
yeah. I
because
agreed with a lot of these, which I was kind of surprised with. I agree with a lot of these because I mean, I thought my perception of the drivers wasn't as up to date, but you kind of confirmed that okay, yeah,
yeah,
I got a pretty good vibe check of all the drivers.
yeah. And I mean, there's some of them that I'd be like, you could totally change them over. It's just we don't know how their team's going to perform. I think Ray Hall is the biggest one for that. Yeah, I think I'm set. I'm going to lock this in, Zach. I feel
All
good
right,
about this, and I'm
awesome.
excited to see how this turns out. Maybe we can revisit this, and maybe we can revisit your NASCAR one later in the year. Just kind of see how right or wrong we were. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, this was really cool, Alex. Yeah, I like this. I like
Yeah.
this a lot.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun here. And if you're on Patreon, you're watching this early for everyone else. If you want to watch future bonus videos, you can subscribe on Patreon at patreon.com/gayracingpod. Or if you're watching on YouTube, hello, you're watching this probably a day later than Patreon or two. But thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, right, Zach? Hit the
Right.
bell, all that
Period.
kind of stuff. Yeah, follow us on socials at Gay Racing Pod on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. We're really growing on TikTok, really trying to grow that out. Really appreciate that. Like, TikTok's been so much fun. Zach does some crazy shenanigans. If you don't watch the full episodes of the podcast, you gotta check the TikTok because all the crazy moments of Zach, they all go right on there. But and then you can follow me at Newgaden, Zach at Dreamy Zach Racing without a G. And I believe that's it, Zach. And you can
Okay.
listen to the main podcast that we always do on Spotify and Apple or right here on YouTube. You can watch us
Yep.
be little silly
We have an
goofballs.
episode every week talking about the latest NASCAR and IndyCar races.
Yeah. So give us a follow along, and watch IndyCar this weekend. You'll love it. I promise you. And maybe we'll come back to this later in the year.
All
See
right.
how right I am.
Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye.